All right, in this episode of the MIPPL podcast, I am here with a Downriver video producer, business owner, doing something really interesting in the Downriver area. He's the owner of the Downriver News Network, and the creative force behind it, Stelios Stylianou.
Yeah, there we go.
Got it right?
You got it right.
All right. Well, first, thank you for making the drive out to Grass Lake to come have a chat.
Yes.
I know we kind of touched base when you first got here. I didn't realize that we had like such a similar past with the video production and different things. So
yes,
always like to kind of start off with just kind of. So you had said that what first got you into the video? Can we kind of start there?
I guess I just grew up just really watching movies, horror films, black and whites. My mom had a little old Sony camera. You know, she would come film our choir sessions, or I was in theater, so you know, she would come and record. And one day I just picked up the camera myself and I said, all right, you know, I'm gonna start doing little bits. And my brothers, here, put this Halloween mask on, you put this Scream mask on, and run in and out of the hallways kind of like a Scooby-Doo fashion, you know.
Right.
And from there it's just like next thing you know, we're filming each other wrestling in the backyard, or take the camera up north with the four-wheelers, and it just evolved into what it is today.
Just this looks fun, let's shoot a horror film. This looks fun, let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like that's, you know, that was Ezzy's kind of path too, just messing around.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with my cousins growing up.
Yep.
And it's funny how it kind of just, you know,
evolves.
That creative energy just kind of tumbles and gains mass over time.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And then I just love what I do. I mean, every day is different, you know, different projects every day. Yesterday I was at the VFW hall. This morning I'm in Taylor at Kudos.
Yeah.
You know, I could be at urgent care, you know, the afternoon, and then end the night at a city council meeting. You never know where I'm going to be.
Yeah, I mean, so when I found you Downriver, you know, I'm not sure how long you've been doing the videos, but you popped up in my feed, and of course my ears perked up. I'm just, you know, it's fascinating what you're doing, but you're everywhere. I mean,
yes,
you guys are just knocking out these videos. Seems like every day there's one.
And I kind of just, with the world we live in, you know, the media, I kind of treat my life like ESPN, like it has to happen now, you know, and that's kind of our slogan is local news happening now. So, you know, like yesterday I filmed 3 stories. Today I filmed 3 stories, and so I know that continuously every day I will put something out. And that's kind of why I like doing the news too, is it's really fast paced. You know, I kind of have a format. Super simple. You know, I kind of know what I want, what I'm looking for, right, going into the project, and it's like I'll kind of follow suit. You know, ABC, knock it out with XYZ. Right. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I like the format of the hosts, because I know you also have another host that does like food related videos, but the idea of the host with the video producer, you can just really just get in there, intro it, you know, and get your bullet points right, and then just say them and get that B-roll, and off to the next one.
Right. And I always tell everyone, I did something with a credit union this morning, and I said, do you have a private room that I could go do my intro in? You know, because this is what's going to take me the longest, you know, is just getting that intro knocked out. You know, I can be the man behind the camera, but then when it's time for me to come in front of the camera, it's like I'm not bashful. It's just like I'm behind the camera, you know. So
are you doing narration during editing with some more stuff, interjecting some other dialogue for your videos?
Well, yeah, I usually just use the voiceover as like the actual interview. So while I'm interviewing them, then I'll just kind of place my B-roll over that, on top of that. That's pretty much how I'm running the news segments right now.
So when did you upload the first video for Downriver News Network?
Well, actually, we uploaded the first one, I want to say the first week of January. But then in February, all of my social media was hacked. Like my personal account, everything was hacked, man, through Meta. And
no help.
No help at all.
They don't provide any help.
They still say that, like, oh, your account's blocked for another 156 days. And I'm, wait a minute, it's the whole year, you know?
Yeah.
So I waited a week, and to be honest, I really prayed on it. And then I said, I couldn't wait anymore. I said, you know what? As the saying says, the show must go on. So I just made a new Facebook page, and then it just, I don't know if it's that algorithm or what, but it just exceeded tremendously, you know, at the end of February there. And now we're going into May. 2,000 followers, over 400,000 views, specifically targeted to the Downriver area.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. You know, I've done, you know, showcase videos with your documentary style videos, and it's amazing what happens when you go into a business and you feature them in a really professional way like that. It's, you know, I'm just one guy, but I would go out there and do a showcase video, and it would make it look nice, little documentary style video, and share it. And then all of a sudden, you know, everybody who knows them, everybody who's ever been there is just like, congratulations, you guys deserve it. This is awesome. You know, almost as if my platform was something, you know, even though I'm just sitting here like, well, you know, but the people really appreciate seeing high quality content like that about places that they've been or that they pass in their car.
Right.
You know,
it gives them a little reassurance, like, all right, I'm happy I support that establishment, or I'm happy that, hey, I've been there before, you know, and then they'll give it a share and they'll give it a like. And
like they appreciate that business getting that spotlight, that recognition, you know.
Yes, especially in today's day and age with, doesn't even really have to be a mom and pop shop. It's just, I say, a staple downriver, you know. There's many of them, and the 18 cities that consist of downriver, and far and wide. And I'd like to think that even with the taste of segments, you know, people are messaging us and it's like, hey, I went and ate at Taco E today, or I went to Sportsman's today, you know, and that's pretty cool. So it makes me feel like, yeah, this is working, and maybe someone forgot, you know, hey, I haven't been there in years, let's go. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I thought about a long time ago, you know, the MC thing, where kind of where you have somebody who's passionate about a subject, like the guy who does your foodie stuff, you know. If they're passionate about it, they're going to be more connected to that community. They're going to be excited to engage with that community, to network, to help connect that community through media. And I think that that's such a scalable thing, you know, because the next thing could be somebody who's, who knows, into the drone racing circuit or into the band circuit, you know. But if you don't have you know, you can't do it all because you're not, you know, you'd be kind of phoning it in, you know. But if you can get those passionate people that can kind of guide where your camera goes.
Correct. It takes a team, you know, and Ryan, he is a foodie. He is passionate about his food. He knows his spots. He was, you know, he started Taste Of before I met him, so it was already a thing working out in Monroe. And I said, hey, I'm looking to add some segments to the Downriver News Network. I'd like to feature some restaurants and, you know, kind of intermingle Taste Of. And he said, oh, man, I would love that. And I already got 5 places we could go right now. Right. I said, perfect. Make the call. Make it happen. We'll schedule them, and we'll do it. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a team effort.
Yeah. I feel like there's such a opportunity there for people. You know, I've always had this view that what we see on the macro can kind of come into the micro, you know. So influencers that are serving different communities on a national or global level, whatever they're doing, there's an opportunity locally to do the same thing for a community that you care about.
Absolutely.
You know? And there's several niches. It could be a geological, like downriver, or it could be, you know, around a certain topic, subject, food, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many topics that we can touch on, you know, and I'd like to think of the Downriver News Network as a unique segment, you know. I'm not more or less concerned of crime and, you know, chasing fires and things of that nature. I mean, there is a time and place for that, right? My goal is community and locally based stories and unique stories, working with the youth, working with unsung heroes. We just launched our segment, Teach Me Something, where we're going to be interviewing teachers and people that are involved in the education department. And I think that those people are important, you know. I was super excited to be invited out to a luncheon with some of my previous teachers, 3rd grade.
I watched that video.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And it's like, Mr. Hammer, how do you look the same? I mean, you got a little more gray hair, but you look the same. It's like... took the time back for me, you know, 1998, you know, and that's just incredible that he still has the same spunky spirit. He's still involved in the community of Flat Rock, and so I love that. And
it says something that, you know, 18 whatever years later, the first teacher you want to feature is your 3rd grade teacher. It sticks out to you. And we all have those teachers.
Absolutely, and really, if I could give a shout out to Miss Menor, that was my theater teacher, you know, and she's still active in the community, and I'm hoping to interview her one day because she's made an impact on my life and the way that my career has transcended. She doesn't even know. Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, those they be recognized not only, you know, because they deserve it, but also to show like what excellence looks like, what we want to have other people inspire to be. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I agree with not focusing on, the news or because we all know the things that can get the easy clicks, right? It's the fires, it's the sad stories, it's, even local sports. You see a lot of local news networks just focusing because it's easy to, if you got a lot of photos that they get shared, like, oh, that's my son's, my nephew,
Yeah.
It's easy. But I think there's a lot of, the local businesses are important for our community and the people that are, heading up organizations, setting up events. They don't really get, it's not so flashy. It's kind of a selfless thing. And
the events, you hit it right there, is that there are so many events. There are so many different types of community outreaches that are happening that maybe only the Rotary knows about this. And they are trying to get the community involved. And it does work, two different ways. It is a two-way street there. So just because your community doesn't know about it doesn't mean that it should be heard, or it shouldn't be heard, So and it's like, hey, if I can help that, I definitely want to make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think end of the day, media is a connective tissue, and we just don't have, connects all these different organizations and businesses and people.
Right.
When you do a showcase video, you do that video now, how many more people are going to find out about that business? Just like these little like synapses connecting neurons in our brain, it just strengthens local community, local connections. And, I feel very passionate about, that's what's kept me going for, 13 years of Michigan Media House and thinking about video and content is just, how can I make something that creates more connected communities through media,
and stay organic too.
Right.
Just like the Downriver community is like, let's just say Flat Rock or Romulus or Wyandotte and Trenton, they're all their own communities. There's something going on somewhere every day of the week. Every weekend there's, a bake sale going on, or mom and pop shop is having a sale, or something is going on somewhere. So I think that it's very vital that this community is able to shop local and be local, and so that their community thrives. I'm not saying, hey, don't go out of your element, don't go to Ann Arbor, don't go, up north. I'm not saying that, but if you really love where you live and you really like your community, I really encourage you guys to shop local and to be local and be active.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
A lot of it's like the convenience thing, or, it's very easy to go to 1-800-JUNK. I've said this on the podcast before. They have very good systems. It's very intuitive. You fill out the form, you do this. And a lot of times it's just harder. They don't have the media. They don't have the marketing budget. They don't have so many things. Like I see in the businesses that struggle with just a basic website.
Yes.
And then, because it's hard, you have this skill, whether it's a, home service skill or it's a, you're a cook, and that's your skill. But then if you have a business, now you got to be an accountant, you got to be a digital marketer,
right.
You got to be a web designer, so like a lot of businesses just have this enormous pressure of like, I'm failing, I'm not doing good enough, and when you could have entities like Downriver News Network or platforms where, people are helping them with their digital marketing or what have you.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Huge.
And I think, me personally, I think that's where a lot of, and I'm at fault for it too, is entrepreneurs fail because they want to be everything, and it's like, hey, it does take a team, and closed mouth don't get fed. Just ask, maybe somebody you don't know, maybe your coworker, maybe your friend knows finances a little better than you, and they could kind of help with the bookkeeping, or maybe help with scheduling, and I'm at fault for it too. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, I got to take all these calls and emails and do everything, and it's just like, but it does take a team. I do have a great team behind the scenes that's able to make the things happen for us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like kind of like close knit, like friends and wives and stuff like that are kind of doing some stuff?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Especially stemming from the Monroe County News Network now is just coworkers, and now that our friends and family, I would consider, that had skills that I didn't have, such as drone or graphic designing.
Right.
And, so it's like, hey, I'll leave it up to these guys to take care of that, but I can be boots on ground and just kind of be in here and take care of the video aspect, whether it's on screen or behind the scenes. And I love editing. So I'm editing every project that you pretty much see for the majority of it. All of Downriver News Network is edited, through me. But that's not all I do. I do weddings and, you know, several projects as well. I just worked on a music video coming from Ann Arbor. So I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I've always really enjoyed the editing process. Like I used to just say, I just go out there, like, because sometimes it's hard to drag yourself out to do a shoot, you know, like, or before the shoot, you might feel like, you know, but then by the time you leave and you know, had this great conversation with this person, you're like, I'm glad I did that.
Right.
But a lot of the time it was just like, I'm just got to go grab that clay so I can come back and be a sculptor, you know, because especially like a documentary film or a music video where you're really getting creative with the editing or editing your way out of funks, you know, you're just like a sculptor. You're trying to find the art and all this hunk of media you brought in.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's some projects that I will just take on as editing. And I kind of like steer away from those a little bit, but it's because, you know, I didn't shoot those. More or less, if I am on set and I am shooting, I almost have it in my mind where like, okay, I remember this scene and this scene. And as I'm shooting, I'm kind of putting the video together in my mind already, whether, you know, if we don't have it already storyboard out or you know, lined up. I can just kind of go in and just say, okay, we're filming this, and I see this as the intro. We just covered a media day today for soccer. And, as we're filming, I'm like, hey, this is going to be the intro. I told him that off the rip. I said, this is going to be the intro right here. You know, I already see it coming. So
got to pull them in.
Yeah, got to pull them in. Exactly. Got to pull them in and then close them shut.
Yeah, you've also, it's hard to shoot or edit somebody else's stuff because, you know, you've already learned, I mentioned it on Ezzy's podcast, but, you know, I used to have a system where the editing me would like leave notes for the shooter me, you know, like while I was editing, I'm just like, why am I not holding shots longer? Why do I keep pulling away? Or why is every shot moving? Why don't I just stop and hold the shot for longer? So I'd write those notes, and before my next shoot, I'd read them out. You know? So it's because, you know, I'd almost be mad at myself like it's another person. But eventually over time, you start hitting those shots and even overshooting so that you can save yourself some editing time.
Absolutely. I always overshoot. I actually just filmed a music video in Ann Arbor, not the band one, but one previous to that. And the shoot only called for about an hour and a half, but I stayed for almost 3 hours because I was just, we were walking around downtown Ann Arbor anyway, but I was like, hey, let's shoot this real quick. Go back over there in the street, you know, and it's like, I needed those clips. Good thing I did that, you know, because it's always pulling in B-roll, intros, you know, for the chorus and stuff like that. And then you need a nice outro clip. And again, if you don't already have it lined up, majority of my projects aren't storyline. It's like, they might give me some ideas, right? And it's like, hey, we kind of got this idea. We want to go with this. And, but we'll let you do what you got to do. You know, you're the director, you're the editor, you know, and it's like, all right, you know, I kind of don't like that, but I'll do that. You know, there's been times where I've showed up to a music video, rap video, and it's like, this is what we got to work with. Like, I didn't know. I should have called you beforehand. You know what I mean? He's like, hey, work what you got. You're the expert, and it's like,
yeah, it's nice to know a little bit like beforehand what you're doing so that you can just kind of brainstorm and start getting a general idea of what you want to get, or even throw out some of your own ideas because you've been on a couple of sets, so you could say, what if we go outside and also do this thing? You know,
I always have them send me the song. I'm like obviously a visual guy, so I'll see colors, or I'll see whatever it may be what the song calls for it, you know. So I'll be seeing it, and then I'll message them and I'll say, hey, I see a lot of purples here, and I see this, and maybe if we film this scene outside and kind of work our way back into the house or wherever we're at for that time, you know. So that kind of helps, and then I'll just get on set, and then some of it will just go right out the window. Be like, all right, this is not what I pictured, you know. But sometimes 90%.
At least it's going to level it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's at least I have a baseline where when I go into it, it's like, all right, this is what I'm going to work with. This is what I got.
It's amazing, like, especially with music videos, how, you know, because we've grown up, we've watched so many music videos, you know? And it's amazing how when you close your eyes and listen to a song, you can almost see even like, you know, not only the colors, but you can see the story in your head. Of like I love developing like concepts for music videos, you know, just because your brain just automatically starts creating. It's like, oh, we've been here before. It's like a trained AI, or like you know what I'm saying? It's like we've already took in thousands of music videos. We know exactly what they're supposed to be, and if you just like kind of relax, you can start seeing the entire thing.
Yes. What have you shot some music videos? Then I take it.
Nothing really serious. I've come up with some concepts for like people. I've shot. I shot one for one of Marla's students. I actually just shot it all in our living room. We have pretty high ceilings.
Okay.
And she did a great job. Veronica Stardust is her artist name.
Okay.
She did a great job collecting like the pieces for it. So like the phone and the couch, you brought over like a little kind of small couch.
The props help.
Yeah, so I put a big red background up for one scene, and we had the white for another. She had this big pink fluffy carpet. So we just had all these different shots, and we just made like a set.
That's perfect.
And it turned out really great, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'll kind of do too is like, I'll try to bring as many props to the table as possible, or just ask them like, hey, if you guys have any props or any ideas that you guys can bring. So at this last Ann Arbor shoot we did was at Bell's Diner. I'll just give them a shout out. And basically the waitress was just, the storyline was the waitress having a hard shift, customers being rude, she's not getting a good paycheck, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of brought everything, plates and what have you, the apron and stuff like that.
I had all the props for you.
Yeah, I had all the stuff for us, and we had the diner, so I just needed to provide the waitress, and we had a couple extras fill in as customers, kind of walking in and out, and it was really successful. It's like, all right, this is a great team effort right here, versus just showing up for, no disrespect, because I've shot many rap videos. I kind of came up with rap music videos, but yeah, a lot of rap music videos is just like, hey, there's a stack of money in a car. Let's see what you can do with it. Yeah, exactly.
Don't bring your own props, please.
Yeah, exactly. I'll bring the props. So
I don't want to get shot. Yeah. I've actually heard horrible stories about people getting, during the videos because people are all excited. And,
I mean, I've had plenty of guns in my face, and I'm like, geez, it's like
leave the props at home for rap videos, please.
Yeah, they're all props. They're all props.
Yeah. That's the disclaimer you got to put at the...
Yeah, in the beginning. I'll throw it in the middle of the chorus, too, just in case.
Right.
But yeah.
That's funny. So that one in your... So you do weddings still?
Yeah. We actually have a wedding booked for August 3rd, or August 6th, maybe. I don't know. I don't know where it is.
And that's through Black Cat Entertainment or the...
No, that's going to be through the Development Group, which is a company that I'm subcontracted through out there in Monroe.
All right.
But yeah, I kind of started my own Shot by Stelios for weddings, and it didn't really live long. I'm not sure why, but it didn't really live that long. But yeah, I'm taking weddings. I love shooting weddings. I just love capturing history. I love capturing the big day for somebody. Really only had like one bridezilla that really wasn't aimed towards me. It was more or less like her bridal party, and it just kind of made things uncomfortable for me, of course, But other than that, I mean, I can actually say I've had a pretty fair share of weddings. So
I watched one of my first ones I did. Actually, the bride shared it yesterday, the day before, Brittany. And, man, that was a long time ago. That was like one of my first.
Oh, no.
My first wedding was actually my buddy when he got married. And it turned out really great. They picked a song, and it was my first time really shooting at like 60 frames a second. And because before that, I was just doing dialogue short films, messing around.
Okay.
And then, shooting something a little bit buttery, and it was a beautiful piece. I felt really good to do, especially for a couple I cared about. It was like a really enjoyable experience to shoot that. But of course, at weddings ago, you do that. Now it's out there that you do weddings. People, every bride's got 4 other brides right behind her getting ready to get married. So
absolutely.
I ended up doing like a good stint, which is hard to give up weekends, especially with kids and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But it was enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely not my go-to. I'm not gonna say I like my main career is weddings. I mean, I like shooting them, but I don't really take them as much. I mean, I really don't have any really coming my way. It's kind of like just throw in the hat type of deal. I might have somebody 1 or 2 a year. I think not last year, maybe the year before, I actually filmed 3 weddings, I think, for the summer. One in Traverse City and then kind of Downriver area. That was the most I've done in 1 year. So,
but are you full-time with, creative work like that, as far as full time with your camera, pretty much
full time with the camera?
That's great.
Yeah, I'm so thankful. I grew up in the restaurant business. My father owned a restaurant, and then stemmed from there. I kind of just went to work, I guess, and I ended up working in a restaurant myself, and I just said, I gotta bite the bullet here. I gotta jump into this thing full fledged. This is before COVID. I've been doing it ever since. It definitely has been a struggle.
Yeah.
But then it does have its good days, its bad days, of course, like any other job would have. But I'm just so thankful. I just love doing what I do. Like I said before, every day is different. There's a new project ahead. Every day is something new. I'm somewhere somewhere new in a different city, different town every single day.
It could be so hard as a producer because, a lot of times the client comes to you with an idea of what they want, and that's unique to you. As for some, you've shot that. So there's a lot of sometimes you might underquote for things, or it gets harder than what you expect.
Right.
But when you create something that's kind of got repeatability to it, like what you're doing with going out there with your mic and, and going to the drive is different. You're going someplace different each time, but now you probably got a good workflow and it kind of probably, I know I feel that kind of with the podcast. It's like at first it was kind of, this is taking a little bit of time, or what's my workflow here? But once you actually have that system, it starts getting more fluid. Starts purring a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now, like you just said, like I kind of have a system, so it's tomorrow, whatever. I'm actually doing a DDA expo tomorrow, so I'm only going to be there for a few hours, but I filmed it last year, so I kind of already have an idea going into it, what I can do better.
Right.
And that's always the good thing too, right? We always learn from each project. So it's like, hey, I'm not going to do that again. Just like you said, you take notes. I should take notes. I don't as much, but mental notes.
It can be intuitive too.
Yeah, mental notes, it's like, okay, I know not to do that, or make sure that I bring an extra battery pack this time, or, for sure more lenses. Lately it's like, bring an extra plate with you for your tripod. Because, it's I've had that happen to me one time where it's like I didn't have a plate, so I just had the gimbal, and it's like I'm standing there with the gimbal, and I'm like trying to interview someone, and it's trying to keep the gimbal so still, and it's like, oh no. But that's only happened to me honestly like maybe twice out of 10 years that I've been filming. So I think
when I see the footage, I can tell it's locked off, but you almost think that there's another camera person. But you're a lot of times going out there by yourself and just setting up the tripod for your intro.
Yeah, for the intro, 90% of those intros that you see is literally just me. Yeah, it's just and then I'll get in front of the camera, check 1 2, make sure that I got enough headspace up top, and then go back, be like, okay, I'm good. I'm gonna dial in here, 3 2 1, here we go. Yeah, other than that, may have my fiance with me, Devin, business partner. So usually that. I was on set. I forget where I was. Whoever I was interviewing, the staff, she was like, "Oh, I used to be a photographer. I could do your tripod." And I was like, "Please, lady, don't touch my stuff."
I have a system.
Yeah, please. It's already dialed in.
But you got the swivel screen, so you can kind of.
No. I mean, I do have an external screen.
Reliable autofocus.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's just like, hey, I'll just kind of set this boy in auto for a second, or I'll just manually set it to mid-range, and then I'll know where to step. I'll like, okay, 1 2 3, and then I'll step from there. It's almost like memory muscle. It's just like, hey, I get in front of the camera, I know where I'm going to go.
It took a couple times where you're like, I'm a little off center, or and then eventually, when you got a system.
Today I cut an intro, and I don't like the color. I still haven't color graded it yet, but it's just like, man, I like too much light, and then I tried dimming it down, and too dark, and it's like I got those fluorescent lights above me. It was at a credit union, and it's like, it's like I can't. And with the weather today, there was no way I was shooting it outside with the rain and wind. It looked like Kansas outside. So
I used to. So for a while, I was doing the showcase videos, and I did those kind of similar to this, but I was at the point where I could do one a week. So I was putting them up. So it was a real system, especially trying to schedule, because if one person backed out, you'd be like, But I had a rule. I really simplified my gear, so I was just like, all right, 1 camera, 1 lens, and it was just crop sensor camera, 30 millimeter lens, 1.4. Don't worry about switching lenses. Also, when I'm color grading and editing, I don't have to worry about mismatched lenses.
Yes,
I had a rule 2 bags, so I had a lacrosse bag with a slider in it and a tripod and like a 1 light stand, and then I would carry a backpack, which I also carried a little LED light in.
Yes,
and it's amazing what you can do with just 1 light like that, because you just find like 1 good source light. You could use that as a fill, and if you need to, you could use that as the source or main light. But a lot of times that's all you need, because you want to get the feeling of the space anyways.
Exactly.
Especially for guerrilla type filmmaking like that, where you want to get out there and
just be right in the moment, and try to find you a good window, get some natural lighting in, and be good to go from there. But yeah, I mean, it's every project calls for something different, and that's something that I had to learn too. Like, believe me, like I look at some of my older stuff, I have everything on hard drives, from 10, 15 years ago. It's like, dang, the ISO looked like I filmed this in 1940.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's so grainy and stuff like that. It's like I had no idea about aperture.
Those small screens are tricky sometimes, like, especially when you're coming up. You don't notice until you get it in the editing that, I did not realize that was out of focus.
And and one of our first mirrorless cameras, Canon T3i Rebel, I think, and just learning how to work it.
That was my first camera that did most of my showcase videos. I still have it.
Yeah,
Rebel T3i.
I don't think
that wasn't mirrorless. The T3i wasn't mirrorless though.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that thing was a power. Like I've still to this day probably shot more videos with that than any other camera.
That video got us a long way when we were doing the music stuff and in my early days, you know. And then I had a buddy who was getting rid of a Nikon D32, D33, somewhere around there. He's like, hey, I'll trade you for this, or you know, he's short on cash at the time, so cashed him out, took a camera and started learning that, and then found my way into Sony, and so now I'm working with the FX3, you know, A7, A63, honestly.
So you have FX3?
Yeah. So that's really for the business side of things. It's not my personal camera.
Right.
But when I can get my hands on it, I love it, you know. Did a short film a few years ago. It's not out yet. Still haven't edited it. But you know how that goes with passion projects. You know, you put everyone else's project before yours. But we shot all that with the FX3. I think I used a Sigma.
S-Log and
no S-Log.
Okay.
No. Sigma Art 22, I think, and then 16 mil. So just kind of run and gun guerrilla style. I wrote a 5-page script. So here you go.
I had a big moment. You know, my wife, she was in a film, in a Christmas movie, and I got to go on set with her a couple times, and I really got the bug for, like, you know, because it was so fun to go there and see all these guys that were just, it's like, oh, these are like my people here. Yeah, like they're creative, and I would, you know, I try to be quiet because I'm not involved with it, but I still end up getting these little, like, you know, sharing ideas and things, and I was just like, I want to get, you know, I kind of want to get in this filmmaking thing, so I had some money in my business savings and went for the FX3, which required all kinds, you know, you start shooting 10-bit and dealing with bigger footage. Now you got it. Now you know, the laptops you've had for X amount of years doesn't quite work as good. Right. And I ended up getting a haze machine, you know, the whole thing. And, you know, some set up for bigger productions, but some of the best stuff, like you said, has been like the local stuff that's simple. You know, when I go to a local event, I don't really even like having a monopod anymore. I like to kind of almost like a photographer setup, just nice and tight and small, where I can zoom in across, get people chatting without them noticing that I'm pointing a camera at them.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I always tell everyone I'm a raw filmmaker because it's just like I really am. I'm like really hands-on. You know, I grew up on like all those films with like Lethal Weapon and you know just the practical stunts and stuff like that. You know, and that's kind of what I don't like really using a lot of stuff in post, adding effects, you know. What I've been really big on, though, the last couple of years is sound design. It's like just adding sound and just seeing how much more that is enhanced my filmmaking and my videos.
Well, like your intro and stuff like that, you know, you could tell you layered that up and with the logos. And
well, that was actually our buddy Justin that does all the graphic stuff. Yeah. So, like, that, again, that goes to having a team. Yeah. You know, I'm really still learning how to do graphics as much with that, but as far as like sound design goes, again, going back to that band video, adding, we got some shots of the traffic and stuff, and I just put all of that in, you know, post and, you know, neon sign and the diner, of course, I just found some filler noise and background and just added that just to give it that element, you know.
Also, I find too, just editing on movements or sounds, you know,
right,
like, are massive for making edits make sense, and
absolutely
also bringing in the sound from the next scene a little before you cut to the next scene.
I love that.
It greatly helps with the transitions between cuts, you know.
Yep, and that's actually with our short film that we did. Some of the stuff that I have edited, that's what plays into it. So we have a scene where kind of give it away, but someone gets cracked in the head. But as they're getting cracked in the head, it cuts to a scene with somebody opening a can of pop.
Yeah,
so it's love those, it's that noise, you know what I mean? So and I love that, you know, and it just really draws you in, you know. Or you might hear the bus or a train ride by, you know, before you actually see the train.
Yeah.
So and I love that type of filmmaking. I love the
Well, audio is always like one of the most important things, you know. Like
Right.
I mean, it's like the soul of the piece, you know. So when you
Correct.
get more into the designing of that, you know, I mean, you could have terrible quality video and have great sound, and it's going to be fine. People are going to accept it.
Yes.
You know? Think it was done intentional or something. You know?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I admired John Carpenter with Halloween is that he, you know, when he first premiered his first screening, he didn't do any of the sound design, and no people didn't like Halloween. So he goes back and he did all of those sounds that we've grown to love, and we know Halloween for what it is, right?
Right.
Well, he went back and did all of that himself,
Wow.
rescreened it, and now it's Halloween, and I'm like, that's just incredible, you know. And I've always grown up on just MPCs and sound machine. I grew up in the music industry a little bit, you know, just coming up with all of my buddies and my brother just making beats. And back in the day, we made all of our own actual sounds in our music, you know. It was, and now of course, you know, we have all these third-party programs and things that we can use. I'm subscribed to like 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing, some of those virtual instruments. Like I've got Analog Labs like kit or something, and they've got some like swelly, like just for going in there. And it's like, oh, I could just watch a film and probably knock out a bunch of, you know, just by picking 2 instruments that I think sound good together. I
Correct.
can do the sound for, and it's, you know, single key presses that are just sound so full.
Correct.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it
what
is.
they can do with that.
And just the synths, you know, and just being able to harmonize a little bit of things. I've even, you know, again, back to raw filmmaking, I'll record my voice sometimes and then upload that, and I'll mimic my voice into a screech or a whisper even, and more of the horror elements.
Oh, to like do your own like voiceover work for another character?
Yeah, it's not even really voiceover. I'll just use my voice as a sound. So it's like, you know, like the you know, stuff like that, you know, and it's like, I've always been fascinated over that type of stuff.
I found that the Foley stuff like is the easiest to do. Like when I've edited like a film or something, sometimes the easiest thing to do is to just tap on the table or grab something nearby, be like, oh, that'll probably sound pretty close enough. Once
Cookie
I
sheet
EQ it
or something, you know, and just kind of rub 2 pans together or something.
It's got to be the funnest job on the planet to just sit in the studio and just like step on stuff,
right?
Shake things all day,
chalk things, you know, just make dust everywhere, and just
every time I see them working in like a video, I'm just like, that's got to be the funnest job.
Yeah, that's
especially if you're getting paid. If you're like a high level one working it, like you're just going around looking for sounds,
right?
You know, there was a minute there where I set up like an automation on my phone that would, when I, you know, recorded a voice memo, it would automatically kind of send it to my email so I could download it, because I had the idea of I'm gonna start getting interesting sounds, you know, and you know, just like a photographer, like say you do a picture every day on your phone. Well, eventually after 100 days, 200 days, you're seeing more interesting things to take pictures of because you're training your brain to look for it, you know.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna do that with sound, like like try to keep my ears out for interesting sounds, you know.
I always message my brother Lou, and I'm like, dude, we got to get FLs back together, you know. We got to get the band back together, you know. Like I'll watch some of our old Note to Self series, and all of that sound that you hear and see was literally made by us. There was no art list or there may have been, but I didn't know any of that, you know, early on in my career. So we were literally making all of our own music, all of our own effects, and I'm just like, cool. Man, that is just, you know, incredible, you know, and that's real artistry and it's real passion, you know, and it's like, there's nothing but I wouldn't.
One of one.
Yeah, and I would never. It's probably a big highlight of my life. Like that's one of my most fondest memories, not just with my brother, but just in life in general, of just making music and just making those beats, and just middle of the night, you know, sometimes, you know, we'd call off work and just, you know, just hitting the keyboard and just hearing the things that he could come on, like, hey, can you change it to this, or, you know, extend that, you know, and put a love filter on that, and you know what I mean, a little less reverb on this, you know. Those are the best days of my life, man.
I mean, also, one of the greatest feelings is when you have somebody else with you that you can jam with and play music with. So I grew up, like, started with drums, and it was guitar.
Yep.
It was drums playing with my cousin, and me and him could just jump right into a jam and just almost read each other's minds, you know, and just go.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that ended up, I got my one buddy Shane started playing guitar. We started an 80s cover band, like before it was overdone, Downriver.
Right.
Know, and, met a lot of people, jam with a lot of people. It's always been the funnest thing to do. It's, that's why drum circles are popular. And traditionally people would sit around fires and make music. I think you kind of, especially when you're making it live with people, there's like this melting thing that happens that's so enjoyable.
It's almost like human nature, Same thing for me, man, is I just grew up on like pop culture. I just grew up on movies and music and just, grew up on Queen and Led Zeppelin, Red Hot Chili Peppers and, and Van Halen, AC/DC. And then, of course, we get to that age where we want drums and a guitar. And did we know how to play? No, but we just love to just always been instrumentally inclined. And then fast forward, get into the rapping gig, I don't know if you had your rap phase, but I'm sure
I've spit a few bars, but I know I didn't actually like put out. There might be one or two recordings out there with me rapping.
So in my early, I say my early days, but we had a really good connect with. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna forget it now. But either way, we were really just Emerald Theater, the Shelter, Harpo's. Live Nation, that's what it was. Live Nation was calling us, like, hey, do you guys want to open up for these people? And
that's cool.
Yeah, like opening up for Jaron Benton, opening up for Hobson, and opening up for all types of people, Too Short. And
really?
Yeah, it was.
Did you open up for Too Short?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was incredible.
What was your group again?
Trey Mob Records.
What was it?
Trey Mob Records.
Trey Mob?
Yeah, Records.
Is there some stuff online?
I'm sure there is. Yeah, go to SoundCloud. Go to YouTube, But what a time, But yeah, so fast forward into that, just making music has always just been in my nature, and going into making films, and then sound design goes hand in hand.
Well, they definitely all go together, because I'm still making music. I can show you my studio upstairs before you leave, but there's still electronic drum sets set up there, 2 keyboards, a little synth, nice, Intura, keyboard. And right now I'm trying to get into looping so I can go up there and just, and I'm having troubles with, technologically figuring that out.
Okay.
But, I think the overlap too is, the software. You learn the software in a DAW, for recording and making music. Now you learn the language, and just like, spoken language, once you learn one language, you can learn, or 2 languages, you can learn 3, 4.
Right.
It just gets easier. So like you naturally pick up software.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of people, they kind of fall apart if they have to open up a software. It's overwhelming. But, I could take a guess at where they would put this tool or that tool, and I could start navigating a software pretty quick.
Yeah. And that's kind of like my brother Lou. He just was blessed with that. I'm sure he could probably open up FLs or whatever, and still kind of put those together, and he's able to loop. But as to me, it's like, hey, I kind of just have the ear for it, and I would be like, hey, pull up this synth, and then I'd start kind of strumming along and be like, all right, fix it, and then he would just make it magic, and it's like, wow, how did you do that?
When you get into like the looping, and I'm just starting to learn, like, I can have multiple MIDI channels on this keyboard and just switch to the different channel instruments like as I go, and it's but it's a whole different thing. I like to just get it set up. So I got my tracks, like my buddies were out, like my old bass player Mikey and my buddy Shane were out a couple weeks ago, and we went up there and we had a great little session, just rotating around instruments. Somebody's on a guitar, drums.
That's incredible.
Keyboard, but it's amazing what those like virtual instruments do to just. So I actually have like 2 keyboards stacked. I got this one like fill in the low end, and this one that I'm just kind of riffing some melodies on.
Prestige worldwide.
Yeah.
So believe me, if we had all of our stuff, and of course life takes on, right? Children, and you get so many projects and traveling. It's just like, man, where do we find the time for it? And everyone's on an opposite schedule too. That's our hardest part. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to sleep right now. So it's scheduling.
You get older, but it'll always be there. I think you'll always like, grab it. I can actually tell you the moment that I took a right turn in the video, because for a minute there I was going to record bands. I was building my studio upstairs. I had like a little sound booth, recorded a few bands, and the moment where I kind of was like, oh, video turn was I recorded my old band. They had a different drummer, so I had them out to record some songs. And for one of the songs, I think it was what song was it? Brain fart. But anyways, I was like, oh, I'm gonna grab my iPad and just record. So like, we're recording it all live, and I have my DAW set up, and so I'm moving around with all of them to the music, getting creative with my little iPad, and going up to the screen and showing the audio meters going up and down. And like that video, when we shared it, got way more attention than anything I put on SoundCloud. It's like I put so much more work into the audio part, as you do, to EQ it and get everything perfect.
Sure.
So people don't. But when you added that video element to it as well, now all of a sudden, people are watching. People are, oh, this is great.
Right.
So I'm like, well,
there you go.
Like video is just, you have that audio side of it, but just the reaction you get from it is completely different.
It's crazy.
It's hitting all senses kind of thing.
All senses, It's crazy how people react differently to different videos too. You could spend hours on, let's just say, you're editing a recap for, let's just say, a food show, but then I could take my phone and literally do a food review, or Dubai cups are in right now, so I do the Dubai chocolates, 4,000 views in a day. Wait a minute. How did this happen? You know what I mean? It's like, what are your thoughts on that? And just like just being versatile, and just
on the World Wide Web, like put out something.
Just like, dude, like how? I mean, come on, man. I'm editing for a good 2 hours. Putting my all into it. Adding a little sound design here. Bringing it up, bringing it down, and then I'm doing a review on a food thing, and they don't even care about what I just worked on.
And trending. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this too, or you're being a creative person, you've seen like people who make money. Reviewing products and then getting commission on those products. That's one of those affiliate accounts. And you think like, oh, I can do that. Or maybe you sling some things on that new app where you auction the stuff off. And even though I know like, oh, I got a studio, I could easily do that. It's like, is that really what I want to do though?
Right.
Do I want to? Yeah. Because also it seems like a trap to me. Because if I get in there and I start making money, I'm probably going to put myself in a situation where I can't stop or something, and then now I'm tied to this. Am I passionate about auctioning off DeWalt tools on an app? You know? I don't think so.
No. So you got all these tools, you got all these products that you may never even use. I mean, you're auctioning them off, and then, they're sending you more stuff, and it's like, dude, I got so much stuff already. I don't know if I really want to do this.
Because I've definitely seen people who are making money using video for, more national or audiences to sell things or whatever. And
I mean,
I do it to be helpful. Like I've done some stuff for like the video producing community on my own personal channel. Just, I found this cool tip, I made this cool thing, I've shared it, and it's fun to dip in and help out and contribute and answer questions. But to push it full time, is I try to think further down the road, like, is this really going to be something that
you're going to want to do longevity? I mean, for me, it's just, at the end of the day, if you ask me, what do you want to do? What really is your interest? What is your end goal? It is to be a writer, and it's also to make my own films, whether they be short films, a full-length feature film. That's what I want to do. That's my goal. Right now, where I'm at with the news, I love it. I'm very passionate about it. If it happens forever, great. I love it. I really don't see it becoming a bore or tiresome, just because it's news. It's something that's going to be here and that's needed every day.
Well, what you're doing isn't really even necessarily news. It's more like a platform for local businesses, organizations to.
It's a network.
Yeah, it's a network.
It's a network. And I say news is just because diving into, like we said earlier, like events, and I just covered a great piece on organization called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and it's they're building beds for kids that are sleeping on nothing, sleeping on pizza boxes and sleeping on dirty clothes, so it's like, that's awesome. That's great that I'm able to use my tools in that aspect and not put these kids on blast, right? I'm not entering their home. I'm not interviewing their families. I'm just building awareness for it. So if we could build awareness for stuff like that, and a grand opening, of course, right here, that's great too.
Especially nonprofits that can use extra funding, doing something great for the community, and with more funding, they can do even more greatness in the community. I think that nonprofits are great to, and the events as well. I know, in Grass Lake we have a lot of events, and something I'm trying to do, with me, it is hard, having kids and having responsibilities. I'm sure you feel this too. It's hard to find the time for me to go out every evening and shoot. So a big part of my direction lately has been the studio, and I plan to do more like short form content that won't necessarily be the podcast and be on, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but it'll be on YouTube and social media, and probably promoted or pushed out to the community groups that they're for. So promoting events, things like that. So, having one or two people on, having a short chat.
I love that it's a video podcast because, I mean, even just me being a video guy, of course, right? But I listen to you in the car, so I'm able to, I shouldn't be looking, but I am looking. But it's just nice to know that I can have a visual representation of who I'm listening to.
Yeah, even if you just glance time to time.
Yeah, exactly. I got a lot of buddies that just listen to podcasts, and I'm like, how do you just listen to podcasts? I don't know. Maybe my brain just doesn't work like that. I'm a visual person. I got to see what I'm listening to, what I'm looking at, what I'm hearing,
Yeah, I think last time I looked, majority, but not by a large margin, a majority of views are from YouTube.
YouTube.
So I think most people prefer the video as well.
Okay.
I know I do as well.
Yeah.
Which is nice that Spotify does it. Not for like me as the creator, but for the Joe Rogans and the bigger podcasts, they open that video feature up.
Right. And YouTube is a hard platform. That is one platform, and I've had many YouTubes. I've had many YouTubes that whether they're being taken down because of copyright issues, again with the rap music videos, people not paying their producers and things like that, and what have you. But YouTube is like one of those accounts that I've just not been able to conquer and figure out. I'm just like, what's going on here?
Well, for what you're doing with Downriver News Network and what I'm doing, that's not really where we're going to find our audience. It's more for Facebook,
right?
Because Facebook is just it is what it is. It's the best for reaching local communities.
It is.
They got the Facebook, you got the groups for the communities that can do a lot. I always tell like my clients, that I do website and digital marketing work for, go in there and introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Ron. I have a lawn care company.
Right.
If I live in this area, and you can get a lot of business from doing that.
What do you think about TikTok?
I'm currently uploading my clips there as well.
Okay.
Like from this.
Yeah.
And it's wild. It seems like they're competing. Like they do want your clips. So like a lot of the clips I upload, I'm not doing anything. I'm just, I'm scheduling them through another platform. They go out and, some will get 2,000. Some are, they're averaging like 300 or 500, but it's I'll have this one go off here and then this one, but don't go off over here. It's a weird thing, but it does seem like they're wanting to reward the clips. Like they have an algorithm that's like, okay, this is kind of quality. Like they kind of tout, and then so they're trying to get the good creators to stick with their platform.
I get notifications like that on like TikTok and YouTube or Facebook where it says, hey, your reel that was less than 60 seconds is actually doing X amount of % better than your other clips. And it's like, well, that's crazy that is. It's like same news network story that I put out last week, So I don't know. I guess it's just what people are gravitating to, It is hard to post, I like Facebook though. I mean, I'm sure that they all have it, but I schedule all my posts.
Yeah.
So like today with the Teach Me Something segment, it dropped, but I uploaded that at 5:30 this morning, and I just knew it was going to drop at 9. So it's like, okay, great. I dropped the kid off at school. I'm on my way to work. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. If you got to remember to schedule every day, it's just too hard. The scheduling definitely. I try to schedule on Sunday before the podcast airs on Monday, like all my posts for the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have a week where I don't post anything.
Yeah,
which is probably bad for the algorithm as well. So.
It is, yeah. I try not to at least post one thing a day just because it's sad to say, but it's like, dang, that algorithm really might screw you up.
Yeah.
And
I think another thing is like, I don't know if you guys have this set up, but if you have a website, getting subscribers to a newsletter, because at the end of the day, like then that's yours. You have this contact list. That is a massive asset. I've watched podcasts with people that have built up a good newsletter following, and then you're able to get sponsors very easy, a lot more, even easier, because that's going directly to emails, or in some cases email and SMS messages,
That's what we're in the middle of actually setting up right now. I'm actually our graphics guy is working on a monthly calendar for us and an email list so that we can say, hey, you're interested to know what's going on, we're not going to send you videos, but we'll just send you what's going on, and that'll go right to your email.
Right. Well, you might as well send them the videos.
Yeah, I may as well. I mean, we'll send them a link. We'll send them a hard
thumbnail,
link. Yeah,
like
exactly.
That takes them to
right to Facebook, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I have 6 stories to upload this week, but they're not all going to run this week, but I will upload them so that they will run into next week. So I'll have enough stories that'll drop from tomorrow on. I think the only day I don't drop anything is Sunday.
It's the Lord's Day.
It's the Lord's Day, and I just I dedicate that to my family.
Yeah.
And I really try not to work on Sundays. So that's the one day that I'm like, okay, not to say that I'm not on my phone. I am on my phone, but I'm not going to be uploading. I'm not in the editing room. I'm not doing anything on Sunday.
I try to keep away from weekends in general. Like to, like I like my. I still have a full-time job, and I do this kind of like on the side.
Yeah.
So I'll give up Tuesdays or Thursdays. I'll do things in the evenings, and, but I still try to not get too consumed by it, which is why everything's kind of had a trickled growth over time. But.
Well, even me, like I try to, even video wise, I'm like, hey, I'm not filming anything unless it's like absolutely needed. I'll film it around like 6 o'clock, but like I'm trying to be home by like 9, 10, very latest 10 o'clock. I don't. Obviously before a family, right? I'm out till 1, 2 in the morning. I'm taking jobs all the way through. I'm in Wixom, I'm in Romulus, I'm in Detroit. All night. Club Blue. It's not that way anymore.
That was a big part about what made me up. I'm going to get into audio recording and stuff like that. Was like I couldn't really do the band thing no more. It was hard to go to practice once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Go to shows on the weekend. I just had a kid, so it's like, well, I'm going to be home more.
Yeah.
And I still want to play music.
Right.
Well, let's get some recording stuff.
Right.
And then that grew into just record some bands, and then so because you can go up in your studio at night and spend a few hours, or in the evening, after you put the kids to bed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that's kind of what it all grew from, was just kind of reining myself back in.
Yes.
And thinking, what can I still do that's creative? That's going to be my creative outlet.
Finding a schedule is so important to just have time management, to just be a creative like ourselves, and also just in life in general. I had my neighbor would always tell me, without order, your life is nothing. You have to have order.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me in my early 20s. It's like, man, this guy's right. Like, you need order. I live every day by a calendar. I have everything scheduled out, mapped out. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I'd like to think it's good, because it's like, hey, I know what I'm doing for Tuesday. I knew I had this on the calendar. It's like,
it's crazy to think of life before you had that calendar that you could trust. That if somebody said, hey, can you come help me move on this day?
Yeah.
Where you really didn't know everything you had going on, because typically it's like, I trust my calendar pretty well. So if I open it, I don't see nothing. Usually I know, like, I'm good.
Exactly.
And I can commit right there.
Exactly.
And say, yes, let's go have a beer together. Let's go do this.
Yes. And I try to leave like 1 or 2 of those spaces open, dedicate those for editing, or, obviously just time with the family. But it's just, I'm just thankful I'm an early bird. I do go to sleep a little early, but I am up at like 5 a.m. every day. So like from 5 to 7, I'm editing. I'm making sure that I'm trying to do something in the morning, because no one's up. No one's bothering me. No phone's going off. You know what I mean? So, I do a lot of my editing early in the morning.
I've done some editing early. A lot of my editing's at night. Usually Tuesdays, Thursdays nights have always been like studio night.
Okay.
And but I've done some in the morning. A lot of times I'm doing like websites or stuff, because I do websites for businesses and things, and some of the more clerical, I could put some music on in the background. Usually take out the high end, so it's just like the sub in the back, and I just start zooming, and taking care of stuff. But you're right. The order, discipline, direction, like you need those things. It's like that saying of, it's like fuel without an engine. Burns rapidly, accomplishes nothing. If you don't have, that order, discipline, direction, you're just kind of burn out.
Exactly, and from that point, you're just inhaling fumes. You're not going anywhere. You're just burning rubber. I'd like to, even if I'm slow, I'm staying consistent and I'm moving along, and that's all that matters to me. As long as I'm learning from something, I need to learn and I need to grow.
Yeah.
So, like I said earlier too, like, hey, I made a mistake on a shoot one time, or let's just take tomorrow. I'm shooting DDA. I know last, which is forgive me if I'm wrong, Downtown Development Association.
Yeah.
So I'm filming that, and last year, it's not even to impress anyone. It's just like, I don't know what the hell to film, So I'm filming everything, I didn't know. I never filmed a DDA before. It's almost like filming your first wedding,
You film like a meeting or?
So it's basically an expo. So it's like 20 to 30, 40, 50 businesses are just, it's like a job fair.
Tables
it's like a job fair, essentially. You're just going around, making your rounds, networking. So I'm like just trying to be the nice guy. I'm filming everybody. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that this year. I'm just going around. I'm going to film what I film, an overview.
Yeah.
I already have my mind made up. Film an overview, do that, cut my intro, and then I'll get a word with the director.
Right.
Story's done.
Yeah.
Should be no more than 90 seconds.
Yeah, it's hard to get. I've done those where it's like, I guess I'll walk by all the booths. I don't know. I can't do all the booths. I've had an idea. I work with I'm on the DDA board here, which is fascinating to learn about boards and how they work. And
they
things.
are.
So I'm vice chair on that, but I also work with the Grass Lake Chamber. I did their website and set up their system for collecting payments and subscribers and stuff. And one idea I had for them, which I'd like to do in future, maybe events. Talk to Larry; he's the president over there. But this would be something great for you, and you're welcome to use it if you think it's a good idea, and maybe tell me if it is or not. But I had an idea of basically setting up a booth, because whether it's a chamber event, there's a lot of business owners, DDA, a lot of business owners. You set up a video booth, have your camera there, and just give them little intros, maybe, one camera, jump cuts are fine, whatever. Hi, my name is this. I'm the owner of this. We specialize in that. Our goal is to do this or whatever. And then boom, logo out. Each one of those can be a video for that chamber. So it's like a partnership thing you do with the DDA or the chamber that gives them, one, incentivizes people to come to the event because they know that this booth's going to be there and they're going to have an opportunity to get some content. And then two, gives them a bunch of content, in partnership with you.
With you.
Yeah.
Honestly, my business partner, Devin, literally had just said that.
Yeah.
He literally said that last week because we were at the chamber meeting and he was like, it'd be nice to have a little podcast booth or something here and us just like two mics and it's like, hey, go ahead, state your name. And, it's Stelios Stylianou with the Downriver News Network and I'm speaking with such and such of the Grass Lake Chamber.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm, the director of, the chamber. We have some exciting events coming up. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram. That's all it is.
Yep.
So that's crazy that you say that. So,
I did that a little bit long time ago when I had a bunch of chamber members. I think this was before I got in with Larry, but they're out there somewhere. And it was just, did I do two cameras? I think I had a second camera then.
Okay.
So I just got my ADD and I set up my T3i. So then I could do cuts for them without needing B-roll. Because the whole idea is that you wouldn't need the B-roll. You can just
tight medium shot.
Yep.
Type of deal.
And I had them against a brick wall, someplace we shot in town, and it was one shoot, 4 or 5 businesses I think we did, and had their logo at the end.
That's great. Yeah, it would be nice to if I was a little more prepared. I've just been so busy, but having an own DRNN, backdrop, and then having all the business owners even standing in front of that, so that way I get the publicity and then they get the publicity
it's kind of like
as well.
All parties succeed in something like that.
That's why it's a network. It's like it's all networking together. We are all intermingling, regardless of how you look at it. Do we need each other? Depends on how you look at it. I'm not going to say we do need each other, but it certainly helps to have that extra hand.
Yeah,
that's.
I think it gets easy. I think it gets easier. There's a great book that I recently finished, Business Lessons from the Bible. It was written by a rabbi. It was a great read, but he just talks about how important, and in the Jewish community, how important letting other people do their thing is, their skills. You know, because you're denying by saying I'll do it myself. You're kind of denying somebody else in your community to do what they do.
Right.
And the best thing for community is for you to specialize in your thing, other people to specialize in their own.
Right. It's a village.
Yeah. And we know the rules about pass through, letting money pass through or what have you, like we were talking earlier about being hesitant to hire somebody, you know, because a lot of people probably are in the boat of, I can't really afford a digital marketer. I should just do it myself. I can do it myself, but I'm just being lazy. You know, I'll just beat myself up instead of, you know, taking a risk or letting somebody else carry this for me, you know. And,
you know, at first, I don't know how you feel, but me personally, it was me. It was like, hey, I'm a one-man band. I can do it all myself. You know,
I'm capable. I've learned tons of things.
Exactly.
I can learn this too.
Do I have a drone? No, I'll get a drone. You know, do I have this? No, but I'll get that, you know. And then you learn shortly after you crash your second drone. You're like, hey, I need a drone guy, you know, and I need a graphics guy. I need this. And it does take a team. And it's not wrong to outsource and to let these people, everyone has a role. Right? Every team. Doesn't matter if you're Adidas, Walmart, News Network. Everyone has a role to play.
Yeah. And it helps you scale too. If you think about, you know, just like they say, if you ask a mentor for help and they help you, well, they kind of become invested in your business and your success at that point.
Right.
So when you hire a contractor or somebody to come out and help you with a video or help you do something, they kind of become vested in you. You know, so if somebody comes up and needs your service, they're gonna be the best salesman you have.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And I've worked with many different types of professions, you know. Right. So and that's what I say too, is like every day is something different. One day I might be working with a real estate agent. The next day I'm working with a barber. I'm working with a guy in the kitchen, you know. So I can't tell them how to cook. I can't tell them how to paint. I gotta let them just do their thing. Just let me do mine. And we'll see how the magic flows, you know.
Yeah.
So, empty canvas, let's paint it.
Right. Yeah, it's fun to collaborate and, you know, get these little teams together or whatever it's around. But, you know, now have you seen, like, you know, maybe this is just to save on the drone thing. Have you seen like the shots of like the 360 cameras with the long poles?
Yeah.
And if you just go, because I mean, it's a great establishing shot of a business if you get a drone shot.
Right.
But those 360 cameras with the long sticks, if you just go like this.
Yes.
By the time you crop in, it's going to look, all intents and purposes, especially if you shoot it at 60 frames a second or 120.
Absolutely.
It's going to look like a drone shot.
I've never used them in person, but I have studied them and I've looked them up and stuff. It seems a little difficult in post, but I guess it depends on the program you're using. But yeah, I mean, everyone likes to say drone. You know, it's like almost like a magic word. You know, it's like, oh, you got a drone. And it's like, yeah, but do you really need it? You know. At first,
it was a hassle to, you know.
And it was a nice sell at first, you know. It's like, oh, we include drones and, you know, this. And now I don't even mention it. I let them mention it because if they want it that bad, then, well, you know, it comes with a price to pay. You know, you got to pay to play. And so now it's just like, hey, you're getting me. These are my services. Now, if you want anything additional, whether it may be weddings or anything for that nature, I kind of let the client decide on that, you know. Yeah. I don't want to ever force on the client on, well, you do need a drone and you do need voiceover, you know what I mean? Because then why? That makes more work for me. I'd much rather just you tell me what you need and then I'm just going to go along with it and say, okay, this is what we can provide, and there we go, you know. And it's not to kind of shortcut. It's not to be lazy. It's just like, why work harder when we can work smarter?
Right.
And that's really the mantra.
And if you're going to have a business, it's got to be repeatable. You know, you got to have like, you know, this is the price for me. This is the price for me plus a drone guy. This is the price for this. And then just have your system, like your store. You can have your, you know, I've actually entertained the idea. Like I do digital marketing and I built my products out recently, like to the point, like just what I know sells and what I know is good.
Yes.
And what's most helpful. And, you know, even though the system I have can do tons of other things, instead of approaching every client, like I had this whole bag. What can I give you? It's like, no, these are the core things that keep seeing people need that they're getting ROI from. And I've actually had this thing of just thinking about actually making an online store for digital marketing services where you just go there and say, okay, you got to start with the $100 one-page website that's updated with, you know, this or whatever. And then you can add on a CRM or you can add on to this and the prices are right there. Put it in your shopping cart, check out. Here's, you know what I'm saying? Like the first digital marketing kind of.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people, but even if you don't do that, that's in the background. You should have that as a creative doing the work. And then it's rinse and repeat. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You're going to overthink things. You're processing too much information. You got to have, the store's got to, you know.
It's got to make sense.
Yeah, either it's behind the counter and sell it in the storefront. You got to have it.
Yeah.
With the prices on it.
And I kind of did that with my music videos at first. Is like, Well, not at first, but at first it was just like me and a gimbal showing up, you know. And then I was like, I started bringing a tripod, and I started bringing tube lights, and then next thing you know, I'm like, I want to build more production value for these music videos. So then I started investing in props, and I started adding that into my price. I said, well, here's my video price, you know, standard music video. Here's my video if you want drone footage. Right. And then here's my video if you want props included.
Like the three options.
Three tiers, you know, and more than likely people would kind of intermingle them because I wouldn't care. You know, it's like, hey, it's an additional $75 if you want me to bring a tote. And I'd call it the spooky tote. And, you know, it would come with accommodate your music video. So if you had a music video that was vampire theme, right? I'm going to have everything in that tote that was vampire theme. So that's what I would bring.
So you'd bring some props.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of props like stored at your house?
Oh yeah, I got a whole haunted house. Got a whole haunted house back there. I tell everyone I'm Universal Studios, but yeah, I got anything from a hospital bed and X-ray machines to.
Do you take it all out at Halloween, decorate the house?
No, we actually run a haunted house in Monroe.
Oh
so,
yeah,
yeah. So it all comes out with me. It's funny you say that because my buddy was like, "Wait a minute, your spooky films and your house is never decorated for Halloween." And I was like, "Yeah, because everything's at the haunted house."
I have a whole haunted house. What do you want
exactly.
from me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just come to the haunted house. You'll see everything there. You know.
Yeah, my house wasn't big enough for what I wanted to do, so we have a.
Yeah, I tried to put some decorations out last year, and it was just like, I ended up taking those too. I was like, setting up the bushes one day, and then the next day,
you should just get like the old like vintage like cat coming out of a pumpkin, like that kind of like cheesy cutesy stuff. Just have that at your house, be the theme.
That would be funny. Yeah, no, I love the nostalgic Halloween decorations, so that's funny.
Yeah,
I love that.
Halloween was always my favorite holiday. I used to love getting into the latex and stuff. And one short film you probably liked that I produced a while ago was it was a zombie movie. It was filmed here, and I got all my friends involved with it. So basically, people would turn into zombies when they got bitten, and the only way to it was a Christmas movie.
Okay.
But it was a zombie movie. So the only way to bring them back to regular, save them, was the Christmas spirit. So like, they turn into zombies, and then like a mistletoe and a kiss, and then we show them like back to normal. They got
a glow to them and everything. Yeah, I love that. That's funny.
It was a long time ago, but it was.
Is it up still?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah.
If you go like on my Instagram, I'm gonna have to add it on my Facebook. I don't know why I haven't yet, but on my Instagram, my little profile. I did one of those little link tree things.
Yes.
So it's got all my links.
So helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you click right on my profile picture, it's just like a little hidden link.
Okay.
And it'll take you to a playlist with all my goofy videos.
Okay.
Like
I think I heard you mention that in a previous podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I got to do that too. I got to actually upload. So I was kind of doing the Throwback Thursdays at my old YouTube, and on Thursdays I would upload like a video from like 4 years ago. Could have been a music video, could have been behind the scenes. It's my work, On
your personal? Or?
Yeah. Well, it was just on the Spooky Films page. I don't have a YouTube for the news network. We're just on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. Okay. Just because I saw that, I'm like, there's no reason for me to make all these 6 accounts, 6 different emails, or whatever have you, for TikTok and all that. Because is my audience on TikTok? I mean, they might be, but again, it's for businesses. It's more, I hate to say corporate based, but it is. It's locally, and it's all on Facebook. So may as well just keep it right here where it's at. You know,
unless you're, I think for a lot of businesses, you got to simplify because everybody wants to be everywhere, and it's like. Do you really have the team or patience to be everywhere, and do you need to be everywhere? Because if you want it for SEO, now if YouTube's great. I've done like a lot of the showcase videos. If you Google like Detroit Carpenter or whatever, like you would see like my video on the first page because a lot of times people don't target SEO search terms with video, or they don't show up like, but Google and YouTube has that link.
Yeah.
So you'd be surprised at how much easier it is to rank with a video SEO optimized, on Google.
And I figured that if it's all on one platform, they have to go there.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, where are you at? I'm on Facebook. You're not going to just go on YouTube and type me up or TikTok and type me up. And then all my numbers are organic right then and there.
Right.
I was like, oh, this guy's generating 65,000 views. It's like, yeah, because everyone's going to that page.
Yeah.
They have nowhere else to go.
And it also feels, you feel lighter simplifying it down like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, instead of doing everything, I'm going to do this. It's like the second you make that decision, you're like, oh,
yeah,
I feel.
That's a good thing about Meta in a sense. I would say with like if I upload to Instagram or vice versa, if I upload to Facebook, you just click the share, and then it uploads the same video right to your Instagram page.
Right.
Or vice versa. So that is nice.
Yeah, so you're scheduling. You're not even a third party. You're right there on your
right there.
Meta business.
Exactly.
Suite. Yeah.
But other than that, it's like, dude, I gotta copy this and upload it to TikTok, and new hashtags, and because the same hashtags aren't in the algorithm on Facebook than they are on TikTok or even YouTube. The YouTube Shorts. It's crazy. It's because like almost like every platform, I have a different entity. Like I'm a big wrestling fan and stuff, so it's like we had a podcast, Dudes Talking Wrestling, and it's like that kind of not necessarily took off, but it was more of a passion project to me. So I'm putting a little more into it, But it's like
you film it or you're on it.
Yeah, both. So we would film it, and then it'd be me on it, Devin, and then we'd interview like indie wrestlers from local on the scene, Downriver and in Monroe, and then we had Dan Severn on, Tony Atlas, these guys that are coming into the county just for like wrestling shows or like WrestleCons and stuff, and it's like, hey, can I squeeze you in for 30 minutes? And like, yeah, no problem. So that was pretty cool. Tony Atlas was
especially
really fun.
If you're a fan, like we were just talking about. There's so many communities out there.
There are,
and you're only doing that because you like that community. You like watching local. I just heard about an all-female wrestling match they had in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
This past, I seen that like a post on the community forum for Ann Arbor. Just did it at a bar. Kind of thing.
Down in Monroe, it's IWR, Insane Wrestling Revolution. So
I think I've heard of that.
Rhino. I'm not sure if you know who the wrestler Rhino is, but from WWE, TNA, ECW really is what I'm going to say. But him and his business partner, Gary, they run it. Great show.
Yeah.
They're bringing in guys from AEW, previously from WWE, TNA, all over the circuit. And they're putting on a really big WrestleFest, May 2nd and 3rd down there in the Frenchtown.
Okay.
And they're bringing in Kurt Angle, Eric Bischoff.
Do you do anything with that organization?
Yeah, I film it.
Okay.
I film with them. They got a great team with them. Shout out to Brad, Ron, Mackenzie. They got a great film team down there, and those guys are like family.
Yeah.
I like it. If I'm being completely honest with you, I kind of fell out of the love with. It's just like, man, sometimes I wish I could just be a fan.
Right.
Because it's like I'm so entrapped in the show. It's like, dude. It's like,
well, you also like how embedded you are in the community, probably, like as far as the organization side of it. Like,
yeah.
You're rubbing shoulders and hanging out. And,
exactly. And it's like opportunities just stem from that to other things, of course, as they do, and that's really big. I'm really big on just relationships, like it's not necessarily I got to be everywhere all at once, but you never know. Like for this, I never inquired about this. You just reached out to me. Here I am today. And I'm hoping to develop a relationship from this,
Right.
Same thing goes for anything that I do. I tell all I don't even call them clients. I just tell all the network stories that I do is like, please feel free to reach out to me. If we're available and we can make things happen, I want to make things happen. I don't want to just cover your story one time and be gone. I want to be here and be involved. Same thing with the organization that I met with today is I told her, I said, I just want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, the Lord bringing me here, which it could be, but it's just like, hey, I want to be here. So I plan to be here.
Yeah. I think you've definitely, whatever's guiding you seems like it's guiding you in the right places. I mean, I was pretty excited to see you talking about the wrestling and hearing how you're involved in it. It's like, that's somebody obviously following their path, and whatever got you to do the Downriver News Network and do that, I think it's going to have a huge impact, grow your network, more people that you can help serve,
yes,
through your services and the skills you've learned.
I feel like it's crazy how life takes a different form because my father, born in Cyprus, Greece, came here, opened up restaurants on Downriver, prominent in Flat Rock. Fed the homeless for 30 years. Every Thanksgiving did a free homeless dinner every year. And it's like, how transcending is that? Yeah, I'm not feeding the homeless. Not doing... One day I might be able to, but in a sense, I'm still feeding the community with positive media.
Yeah.
You know, so it's I'm a real big believer on that, and just the circle of life of just being able to take on and not necessarily follow my dad's footsteps, but just being able to help and serve and just be involved, you know, because there's not too many people that want to be involved. People, I don't know what people feel like, honestly. I can't speak for anyone else but myself. But for me, I just want to be involved, and I just want to be able to help out and build the youth and build the next generation on. That's really what I want to do. I'm so passionate about it.
Well, you want to feel that tangible, I'm involved, I'm delivering a service, I'm valuable, like I'm, you know, you want to, a lot of times with jobs, you know, like, you know, for example, I work at U of M as trades, and yes, I come in contact with clients, or I solve big problems sometimes that help out, you know, people, and I feel that from time to time, but it's not as tangible as helping a business increase their sales or whatever, or, you know, doing a good quality video that gets them extra promotion or fills vacancies or whatever, you know, like that's tangible, or seeing that appreciation in the client's face, or or they're singing your praise and somebody recommends you, or somebody sends you a text that looks great what you did, you know. You know, it's very tangible, and it feels like, you know, I'm not just here just consuming and watching and being entertained. I'm contributing, you know.
My buddy and I always say people just want to be a part of something. And that's kind of like, I'm not saying that's what I bring to the table, but even with the spooky stuff and the Black Cat Entertainment with the haunted house, like people just want to be a part of something. People want to be able to, whether it's build, be a part of the makeup, be behind the scenes. They want to put on a show, you know. Maybe they haven't been a part of something, and now we give them a home and we give them something to latch on to, be tangible to, you know.
Like, I mean, I've got this, like, I've always said this thing, like, we go where the vibe's good. I don't know if you ever went to like a music festival before or something, but
Gathering
where there's
in the
where there's like multiple stages, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see like gatherings start up, and the crowd swells bigger because, like, you know, it could be a little beat that starts or something,
right?
Or you just start hearing people start rapping on the side of a path, you know, starts drawing an audience, you know. I mean, that's all society's even created it on, you know. Some guys with a crazy wig and a wood background said, you know, we had to have these laws and blah 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 blah, and we're like, well, you guys look trustworthy. I kind of like this Constitution thing. Sure, we'll do that. You should have the wood wall behind you. You're the authority, you know. And we just go for it. So when you can create something like that in your community, you know, as small as it is compared to what we see on Netflix or HBO with these shows or whatever, as small as it is, people accept that. Yeah, it's going to be lower budget, it's going to be lower quality, or it's going to be this. Like, but yeah, they're excited to be involved with the community. That's, you know, the vibe looks good over there. I'm going to go check it out.
I'm a big person on energy, big person on vibing. You know, I'm not saying that, like, you know, I'm psychic or anything, but I can really sense vibes, and it's like, man, like, am I saying you're a bad person? I don't know. You could be, but like, hey, man, if we're not meshing, probably not going to do business with you again. You know, that just goes for anybody. I could walk into a room and be like, I got to get out of here. Right. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's a spooky vibe, my spidey instincts or my spooky instincts coming up, but it's just, you know, it's the vibe that people want to be a part of, and they want to be able to feel like, hey, this is a good feel.
I just got a good idea for a trailer for this episode. Before you leave, I'm going to get a shot of you like pushing the mic and be like, I'm out of here. This is, you know, crap. It's like right when I'll get a clip of you saying that. Like, I can sense vibes. And if I don't want to be around you, I won't be around you. And it just cuts to the next clip.
Oh, yeah,
like, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. We're done with this episode.
Don't miss the episode. Out this Monday.
No, that's good. That's good. Funny.
But yeah, I agree with the same thing. You can pick up some people. Me and Marlon, we say, you know, some people are just heavy. Like, they kind of come with like a certain heaviness, and I don't know what they're struggling with. Wish them the best, but like, you're not going to want to be around that, you know.
I don't want to be around dense people. I don't want to sink. You know, I'd rather just float and just be amongst the air. You know, exactly. Just let me be free. You know, that's one thing. Like I told you before the podcast started, is that you know, not to toot my own horn, but everyone is just saying how positive the news network is, the Downriver News Network is. And I'm like, you know, I told my fiance, I said, this is incredible. You know, they're not saying you're good. They're not saying you're great. They're saying what you stand for, and the positivity is incredible. And that's what we need. And I'm like, man, I'm so happy I'm able to bring that light. And it's not even me. I'm just having a platform to be able to tell these people stories, you know? And it's incredible. It's a great feeling to know that, like, hey, I don't have to put on a facade to make up a story or come up with storylines or clickbait or, you know, and try to twist their, because I've seen it before. I've seen where people have gone into this establishment, get a story, and then next thing you know, it seems like this establishment is closing its doors when by no means is that happening, you know?
And, you know, I don't think that I mean, it's just going to be more of this kind of content to come, I believe, because at the end of the day, you know, and I thought about this a long time ago when I'd see travel videographers and photographers going all over the world. I was just like, that looks exhausting. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be on a plane every other day, going to these places as much as it looks like fun. Yeah. Maybe once in a while, but like that's exhausting to have a YouTube channel or a career doing that, you know? And most people can't. So what do? You know, you got to tend to the garden you can touch because you are a video person. You can't, you know, you can't really, I mean, sure you could talk podcasts and be remote, but, you know, so I just think like when it comes to creatives, there's a lot of creatives around and there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to supporting these communities.
Yes. I think that everyone, if I had my own, you know, if I could say this, it would be people are competing with each other when they really don't need to be. You know, especially with content creators. And I say that like that
there's
because
so much opportunity.
Everyone says I'm a content creator. I mean, we all are in our own respectful ways, right? In our own lives. But there's just so much to go around. There's painters, there's influencers, there's I can't even name them.
Well, even in the same thing, you know, like, I mean, some people would say, oh, what, you know, Ezzy, oh, he's a competitor. You do video work for companies, don't you? Well, there's plenty to go, you know. Yeah. And also, like, just you can't be in that mindset of. No. And also, I'd share information if I have it to help him out with his videos, even though, you know, just because if he gets better, it's going to make me better. You know, there's no. There's no sense to look at it as if you want to knock somebody down to make yourself successful.
I tag people all the time in wedding videos, or there's that I don't know if you're on Facebook with the West Michigan wedding page. I'm in that page, you know, and I see it all the time. I'm tagging people that I know that do videos or photography because it's like, hey man, do I want to take this job? I don't even know. And that's one thing that I actually made a mistake of. I never used to ask questions. It was almost like I was too desperate. I was just so ready to get the job. It's kind of how I landed the Traverse City job. I didn't even know it was in Traverse City until like a month before the gig. And I live 4 hours away. And I'm over here taking this job for $1,500, thinking that it was just in, you know, Westland or something, Livonia, you know. I'm like, it's no big deal.
Didn't ask the location.
Didn't ask the location, you know. I asked every other question.
With the podcast? Did you say yes before you realized it was in Grass Lake?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did.
So we still got that problem.
Yeah, still got that problem. You know, because I was like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do it, you know, because, well, to be honest, too, I mean, Grass Lake, hour away from me. I didn't know you knew about the Downriver News Network. You're hitting me up for the Downriver News Network. I'm like, this guy's got to be a Wyandotte or something, you know. It's so that that's still a problem of mine.
I know I came across it. Maybe a friend of mine shared it. I mean, I still have a lot of friends and family down there, so maybe they shared a video.
I'm humbled though. I'm so thankful. I actually just had some people from Riverview actually just reach out that work with Comcast and WOW. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah, they reached out to me about the Downriver News Network, and they're like, "Hey, we'd like to set up a meeting with you." And I'm like, beautiful how this is all just working organically. I'm not forcing any of this. I'm just doing what I love to do, you know? And that's kind of my problem is I have like ADHD with all of the things I love because I love wrestling. I love collecting VHS tapes, and I love movies, and I love nostalgic vintage stuff and toys. You know what I mean? I love all that stuff. And I try to intermingle all of that with me, Stelios. But then also, it's like, I know that all of that isn't for the news network. So it's kind of hard to like, you know, it's like, oh, well, I follow you on the news network. And then they go to my page, my Stelios page, and they're like, what's up with all this spooky stuff you got going on here? You know, it's like, I don't see anything about the news.
Why is he interviewing a wrestler every 3 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why has he got Frankenstein on his episode? You know, it's like, that's who I am. Yeah. You know, but
I mean, I love the model, what you're doing. I think it's like so repeatable and scalable. I mean, you know, I see what you're doing. I think it's great. I'm all for that connective tissue and communities. I love the Downriver area. I grew up there. So it's good to see they got someone like you that's putting themselves out there and And I can't wait to see what you're doing. And man, who knows, man? I'd love to do like a short film with you someday. I think it'd be super fun.
And that's my problem too. Like I said before, I filmed. Well, my buddy and I, we wrote a short script. We wrote it in a week, which might be a little long, but oh well. You know, we were just going back and forth. I filmed it, just haven't edited it. You know, and it's
Is it another like kind of scary movie?
It's a scary short film. It's about 15 minutes long. We filmed it over there in Irish Hills in Onstead.
Okay.
But now, like, you know, fast forward 2 years later, I've written like 3 or 4 other scripts. You know, I'm actually in the process of writing one for my son right now, and he's all into Stranger Things right now. So he's like, oh, you know, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of you and your friends? You know, if we can get some parents to consent, you know, maybe we'll film them and do a 5-minute skit real quick, you know, and
we'll have a little get together, a viewing party.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we can all just film it in the backyard real quick. Take a couple hours. It'll take 1 day to film, you know, maybe 2, but I would love to, you know. I'm always I just did a short film with somebody else that just messaged me and said, hey man, I got this idea. I just want you to film it. You don't have to do no editing. I like the way you film. Come out and film it. It's about Elvis and Bigfoot.
Yes. Did you already film that?
Yeah, I filmed it. Yeah, I don't know what costumes. I don't know what they were great.
Really?
Yeah, they were great. I mean, the guy looked like Elvis. He was no costume. It was him. I was like, dude,
like a professional impersonator.
Yeah, I'm just like.
I mean, I would think if you wrote a script with Elvis in it, it wouldn't be hard to get one of these impersonators to come and be like, sure.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, like I was very surprised when he showed up, and I was like, whoa. Like you,
what's up, man?
Yeah, talking just like I had the jet black hair, you know, and little jacket on and everything. I'm like, wait a minute, you really are Elvis, you know? Like,
it's on the far end when it starts going south for Elvis impersonators, you know, because you start looking like Vegas Elvis at some point.
Exactly, you know, putting on a little extra weight there, you know. But I'm happy I didn't have to edit that one. I don't even know what they did with it. I got to actually reach out and see what they did with that, but. Needless to say, I didn't film the whole movie. I only filmed those particular scenes in the woods and stuff.
Have you ever done festivals, like any film festivals?
No. So, like I said, last year I went to the Gathering of the Juggalos, and that Taste of segment that you see on the Downriver page, we did 2 different segments. So we did Taste of the Gathering, where we just, you know, shopped around all the food trucks there and stuff like that. And then we did...
is that with the same guy?
Yeah.
Too? Okay.
And then we did Taste of the East Coast.
He looks so familiar. I don't know, maybe because I've watched like some Juggalo videos of these festivals too. You know, like I just, when I seen him, or maybe I bumped into him downriver or something.
He's a downriver guy.
He seems really familiar.
Yeah.
Or maybe he like worked at a bar that I played when I was in the bands or something. But man, does he look, every time I see him, like...
He's probably eating at a bar. I don't think he was working at a bar.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Ryan. Yeah, no, I mean, he was, I want to say E-Course area. He's in Monroe.
He bumped into him somewhere.
He runs a great entertainment company, Braincheck Entertainment. They actually just opened up their first comedy club in Monroe.
Really?
Yeah. So,
cool.
To extend some tickets out to you guys. They're on the weekend though, so I don't know. It's Friday night, so they run 2 shows. They do a great job out there. But the Gathering is really the only festival I've actually like been to. I don't know if you know about the Gathering of the Juggalos or not, but
I've definitely heard about it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I performed there actually in 2014 with the whole little rap thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we
cool.
just performed there. Just did a minor set, you know, we weren't on any of the big stages or anything. But last year when I went, I'm literally on stage, like from me to you is ICP and all these guys, you know, DJ Paul.
Wow.
And then sooner or later people got wind and they were like, get the hell out of here, you know, because I didn't have a badge on or nothing. I'm just like sneaking my way through, you know. But it is.
So I thought you were like up there performing, and they came up and like did a song with you or something.
No, I was up there filming. Man, you know, I got in the mosh pit and everything. I mean, that was exhilarating. Just getting in that mosh pit. I was so scared with my camera. I was like, dude, I'm risking it all. I felt like Tom Cruise right there. You know,
we're similar that way. Me and Marla, we went to we were in Toledo, and she was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna relax in the room," you know, because we did a couple of things, and we were downtown for something. And they had a concert, so I went out with my one wheel, and I'm just cruising around town, you know, just taking a little cruise.
Yeah.
I like to just, you know, cut up on that thing, and I go down by like the water, and they had like the because I thought there was like a water walkway path that I could just kind of go down, but they had it blocked off for the concert. And it was a big concert,
Okay.
And I go down there and I see this kid, he's just on his phone. So I just zipped by like I own the place, go up to the steps, and I was like, and then just hit me like, oh, if somebody comes in, I'll just say I'm with like Toledo DDA and I'm taking pictures or something.
Right.
I went up on stage and I'm like right behind the drummer, like, there's like, and I'm looking at all these like massive crowd, this like downtown festival.
Oh, that's incredible.
I mean, I've always been like that. Like, if I say this, and I'm harmless. I'm not gonna be disrespectful.
Right.
It's amazing how if you don't make eye contact and you act like you're supposed to be there, it's amazing how you can just kind of walk into.
That's what I've learned too. It's like I've been in so many places where I was not supposed to be in, and I'm just like, I'm supposed to be here. It's like so I actually was supposed to be at the Jelly Roll concert. He did it like an impromptu concert in Ypsilanti. I got called to actually do that, but the stage manager specifically said, do not go on stage with Jelly Roll. I said, okay, Jelly Roll, and look at me.
Right.
So I'm right behind Jelly Roll. No one's seeing me. So I'm, I got right on stage with him. Then halfway through the song, I see the guy, and the stage manager's on the side. He's like, get down. And I'm like, okay, I got my shots. I'm out of here.
Right.
Well,
it's hard. Sometimes you just, especially when you're filming, you want to get that shot, so you just kind of start drifting into a place you're not supposed to be.
Absolutely. That's kind of how I ended up in the mosh pit too. I was like, I got to get this shot. Like, at the end of the day, it's the storytelling for me. When I'm filming, I have to tell a story, right? And it's like, don't risk your life, of course, right? But I'm getting that shot. Yeah. Whether it's what I got to do, I'm gonna make it happen. Just to the risk is well worth the reward.
Right.
And when I'm able to put that story together, is incredible. And again, too, like that night, if not the next morning, I was in the trailer editing a reel to put out on Facebook the following morning of like, hey, look what happened. Gathering of the Juggalos, night 2, night 3, night 4.
Was that on your personal YouTube or?
That was on their YouTube, actually, Brain Jerk Entertainment.
Oh, okay.
So I uploaded it to all my stuff, but all that stuff's gone. I mean, I still have it on my hard drive, but again, my Facebook and all that got hacked.
Oh, man.
So I lost all
your personal's gone.
Yeah,
too.
all of that was gone. So you're talking thousands upon thousands of views
and videos. I can't believe how
videos.
terrible Facebook is with that, and it's how terrible the platform is in general. Even when you do ads, it's just confusing. I got hacked. I was doing ads for a client. They came in, they spent, got hacked, $3,000, right? And I'm like, it's 100x what I would ever spend or ever have spent on an ad for my ad account, and it's in another language, targeting another country.
Wow.
You no flags went up in your system. You couldn't make anything automated that would send me a notification or auto stop or ask for verification. Like it's in Arabic. It's like I can't even read it. It's targeted. Like how can it be such? And you got Mark Zuckerberg out there trying to build augmented reality glasses. Yeah, it's like, why don't you make Facebook work good? You know what I'm saying?
I don't even know if he's running Facebook. I don't know. It's
absolutely
who's
horrible. Like, I mean, as a user,
you
can get on your news feed and scroll and it's fine. But when it comes time to digital, use it for what it's supposed to be there for, to make money, advertise,
monetizing it and all that,
or just regular service. Like, you should never lose your personal page.
Correct.
It's got family photos, all this stuff in there, all this history.
Yeah,
it's your kind of timeline from 2007, whatever it is.
Yeah, 2007, 2008. Whenever I made my Facebook,
it's gone. Sorry,
gone.
No support.
Everything is gone. And it's like some things I just uploaded straight from my phone, or just a live video. And.
Again, I have a license here with this name on it. You tell me with this license that you can't go in there and give me my account back, but you can't even reach support.
Right. Yeah. No. I fought tooth and nail with them. The only people that were compliant with me was my Chase Bank, and they gave me my money back. But these people got into my Chase Bank. They got into my Cash App. I still have negative balance.
Oh, they got into everything.
Yeah, I have a negative balance in my Cash App right now. I don't think I can ever use Cash App. I won't use Cash App. It's like I called Cash App, talked to few representatives, and they were like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I did not make these purchases.
You got really hacked.
I got hacked.
Damn.
Yeah, they got into my Meta somehow, and they deleted my spooky films.
But they got
my news network.
So they must have a keystroke thing on your laptop just to get into everything you've ever opened on there, kind of thing.
Believe it or not, I contacted, when I did talk to Meta, the only thing that they said is that it came from an IP address from a public Wi-Fi where I was at. And where I was at and where they said, I was like, yeah, I was there. So maybe that is possible that
I've heard
these
about
people
that,
really hacked me in real life because I was using public Wi-Fi editing a story.
Right.
You know? And it's like, dude, this is incredible how this happened to me.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have all of my stuff on hard drives, right? So I can upload that Jelly Roll footage again, but it's not organic, you know? What was great about that Jelly Roll footage is there was a little girl in the front row singing every word. And I wasn't, I'm not going to say I wasn't a fan of Jelly Roll. I just wasn't familiar with all of his songs. I literally had tears in my eyes while I was filming this because of the crowd. The crowd and that little girl singing those lyrics. I get chills thinking about it because it was incredible.
Well, that guy is just all heart anyways. Like if you ever listen to him on a podcast,
oh yeah, he's incredible.
He's just, I mean, he's got a big heart.
He's incredible.
Yeah, and you can feel it when he's talking about stuff.
When he's singing too, it's like, man, I go back and I listen and I'm like, wow, and like that footage touches me every time I watch it. I'm like, I literally tear up every time I watch it because it's like, this is one of the most amazing moments I've ever filmed. And that's what's great about it, right? It's like we're documenting history. We're documenting things that people are so entrapped in the moment that we're the guys behind the lens being able to film that. And it's just so incredible to see and to be able to capture that, you know.
Have you ever seen like old like Ken Burns footage, like how cool it is to go back in time and like, you know, you got somebody, you know, in 1950 getting recorded that's smoking a cigarette talking about like World War II, his experiences, and you're like, man, our street interviews, me and Marla are watching like street interviews in New York from like 85 or something, like, and I'm like, oh man, this is how they talk is different.
Exactly.
So it's like as a filmmaker, you're almost inspired. You're like, I need to just go and walk down the street in Detroit or walk down the street and all these like just.
In Jackson.
We don't know how valuable that'll be in 20 years.
The fashion, the way that they talk, everything, you know, it really is incredible. My fiance, she's like, she argues with me because I've had a passion to film my own wedding. She's like, how are you going to film your own wedding? I was like, I will make it happen. Don't worry. You know, it's like, will I film myself walking down the aisle? No. That's what Justin and Devin are for.
You're going to have a stand-in?
But yeah, we'll have a stand-in. I'll have a stunt double, you know, make sure that he's got the same glasses, you know. But no.
At the end of it, the stand-in like reveals himself. You're like, oh, yeah. Like whoever watches the videos is like, oh, mine fucked me.
It's like that scene in Spaceballs where he's like, you've captured their stunt doubles. You know, that's incredible. No, I just think that how cool would that be to film your own wedding? Because I'm filming for everyone else, right? When do I get a film for me? You know, besides filming my short horror films that I never edit.
So after the Ezzy's, you know, talk here when he came on the podcast, he asked me to do a video for his wedding, which I haven't done wedding in a while, but I was like, yeah, come on, retirement, do your wedding.
Yeah.
And he said a couple of times like, and if you need me to edit it, I can edit it, it's fine. And I was like, no, like, you know,
I got it.
I mean, if you want me to edit it, I totally understand.
Right. He wants it 3 minutes though, right?
Yeah. So I can kind of tell he probably wants to edit it. But,
yeah.
I'm also, you know, I'll do a great job.
I know you will. I've asked a couple of my buddies already to edit or to film my wedding, to help film. But I did tell them, I'm like, I'm going to edit it though. Like,
so you're going to have one of them in the same style suit, or maybe if your groomsmen have the same suit and then one of them's the same height.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like you're going to need a double.
Maybe, yeah. I know for me, I'm not going to film myself, but everything else.
Oh, like the dancing,
the B-roll and all that, I'm gonna film. But the ceremony, I'll definitely have someone else film. I'm not gonna ruin that moment for Kayla, you know. But I was
wondering if you're going to do like the you know, through the park kind of shots with like a stand-in or something.
Oh yeah, no.
All right, bring the veil up.
Exactly, and it's me. It's like I'm revealing for myself. I'm the bride and groom. You know, that would be funny. But no, I love filming, man.
Yeah.
I could talk about it all day. I love filming history, documenting it. That's why I joined the Historical Society. It's just like, I just want to hear your people's stories. You know, I want to know what's going on around here. You know,
there's some great stuff. I seen a business in Chelsea. A guy was just recording like people's grandparents' stories. Like,
yes,
you know, and I think it's a great business to do. Like, get these, you know, I mean, older people that are taking, you know, and holding on to that. They're so interesting to talk to.
Absolutely,
they grew up in a completely different time, and someday those stories are going to be gone if they're not captured.
That's one regret that I have with my father. You know, is like I said, he came from Cyprus, came here. started his own businesses. Here his son is filming for everyone else, can't film for him, and even for my story, being born with a heart condition, 3 open heart surgeries coming out right then and there, being at U of M. I've had all my open heart surgeries there. Is like, for them to stay there, be in the Ronald McDonald House, put everything on hold to be in that moment at that time. I need to interview you guys, just tell your story. What was that like?
Right.
How did that feel? Hopefully one day I'm able to get my mom when she's ready to talk on camera about that stuff. But I definitely want to tell her, not even to tell my story. I want to hear it from your perspective, to be a mother.
Yeah.
And to know that, like, your son is hanging on for dear life, and these doctors are saying, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. This is 1990.
There's the story, and then there's also, like, just the essence of, like, be able to kick on a video and hear your mom, or your dad, like, talk for an hour or something.
Exactly.
I know my dad will come on the podcast. He's already mentioned it. He's planning on having him on, which is, I think, would be super interesting, because we always have, like, pretty deep conversations about, being parents and, all kinds of stuff. And
what did your father do?
He's worked at Propane Services, like on Taylor and off of Beverly.
The Propane Service? Oh, yeah. I know exactly where that is.
My whole family, like a lot of my family worked there. So my uncle, who recently passed away, he kind of like was, started there and then worked his way up, hired a lot of his brothers.
Okay.
So a lot of family have worked there. Now I have a lot of cousins actually who work there as well.
It's like
right there in Taylor.
Almost like born into, it's not a family business, but it is.
Yeah.
It's like working at Ford, right?
Yeah. It's just like a great group of guys, and you're just,
Yeah. No, that's a beautiful story to be able to tell, and the same thing for the historical societies. I went to a meeting in Lincoln Park last couple weeks ago, and everyone is 50, 60, 70, maybe even 80 years old, and then there's me with a cat head on, and they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm here to document you guys, and they're like, they were just blown away, and I was like, I just want to be involved, and I need to hear your story, Jeff, and your story, Bob, and your story, Sherry, and just tell me about it, and then they're telling me stories about Woodmere Cemetery and the battles that they've even been through on trying to archive this history, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Like, you're the only ones. Did you
join it and kind of come up with the idea of, like, let's start recording it, or did they kind of hire you to come in there?
No one's hired me yet. It's just, I just want to be a part.
Yeah,
I just want to be a part of it. Really, what stemmed from it, to be honest, is trying to host my haunted house at the Historical Society in Flat Rock. Okay. There's an old building, the Smith Hotel, Flat Rock Smith Hotel, and they have the rooms and stuff preserved, and it's in the historical building. And I'm like, wow, this would be an incredible haunted house, like the Smith Hotel, what I would call it, Spookies, no vacancy, But that stemmed from me wanting to join, but also really wanting to be a part of it. And just in my nature, I'm like, hey,
curious,
why has no one ever filmed you guys? And they're like, no one ever has. No one ever wanted to. And I'm like, well, I want to be that person to film you guys. And it's not even a kiss ass or nothing. It really isn't. It's really like, this history means something to me. Like, how cool. Like, I'm literally a student. They're walking me through. I'm like, I didn't even know that this was here in my own backyard, And growing up in Flat Rock, it's almost like unexplored territory, because it's like, here's the library on Gibraltar, and then in the back, right here, are these like 3 homes and buildings, and that's the Historical Society with the Smith Hotel inside of it, and this other house that's in there, and no one even knows that it's there. I mean, maybe they do, but it's like no one's ever back there.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, come on in. This is
open to the public. I don't know if
it's
something that happens. How old are you?
34.
34. So it's something I feel like the older you get, the more you start to appreciate the history. Because I mean, and I've heard this from multiple people. Like now I'm watching like World War II documentaries, and doing this stuff. Or even I dove in. I was doing some work for the Lost Railway Museum in town here, and there was like, there's these. I was getting into local history. So like there was a guy who Bolin that built a casino, and then they built a trolley system that would take people from town to the casino, and I'm just like, man, this guy was a doer. And then another guy was doing this thing, and you're like, and they teamed up, and so it's like, oh man, like I just took this deep dive into this great series called The History of My Community. Yeah,
and that's really what it is. I mean, for me, I've always grown up, Bela Lugosi, Abbott Costello, just little black and white films and stuff like that, and the horror movies, and so I've always had a knack for like the supernatural, ghosts, just urban legends. Mm-hmm. So I've always kind of, in a sense, have been a history buff. I've always just had that imagination of like, man, like what was here before us? Mm-hmm. There's something here before us, like what are these stories of, again, urban legends and things of that nature. And so I've always been attracted to history, and just growing up, it's just like now being an adult, I feel like I have the capability of being able to know like, all right, I can do something with this. Whereas in my 20s, I still had a fascination for it, but did I care about it as much? Not really.
Yeah.
And
it's cool, even like the Downriver News Network, like those are little snapshots, moments, and like, and the older they are, the more valuable they are. And you might not go back and be like, because you see your face all the time, like, oh yeah, there I am again. I look a little younger.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you don't know how many other people are going to chime in and be like, oh, there's mom. Like, where's that video that the company did, whatever, and they can find it,
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good reason to have it on YouTube, like archive it there. You just throw them there, because then it's going to be, people might be able to find it easier, or it's more solid, because who knows what happens to Facebook, because Zuckerberg's screwing off with Meta, AI or something.
The AR, augmented reality, is what he's trying to do now.
Trying to do anything and everything. Curling his hair. He's a hipster now. He's a hip guy now.
I haven't even been keeping up with the times. So
it's amazing that when I lost that, because I'd never end up getting that money back either. Like that.
Yeah.
Me neither. Almost a little over a year of me just kept bumping support. I think they gave me like 500. I was like, why'd you give me 500, not the whole thing?
Right.
What's going on?
Right.
But ever since then, I've just, I just want to bully Mark Zuckerberg ever since that happened.
Okay. I mean, I can get with that. I've been hacked too. I've been hacked too. So it's like, let's get some people to sign a petition for people that have been hacked. We need to be reimbursed. It's almost like another tax break. It's like,
I really enjoyed it. Did you see those AI videos of like Zuckerberg like coming around the corner? Like he'd be doing creepy things. He'd just like be popping out of places and coming back down.
Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I don't know. I gotta see. I gotta look it up now.
You watch one, and it'll just swallow your feed. But it's funny because they're kind of making fun of like his kind of like weirdness.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like peeking around corners and disappearing, and there's like little eerie music playing. It's different scenes.
Goodness, yes.
Yeah, it's funny. But I think the heater stopped. I know you're cold blooded.
I'm good now.
Yeah,
we're good. But you got my blood boiling now that I'm talking about what we love.
Yeah.
Besides Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, we can keep rolling, man, if you want.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the energy is coming up, and it's an enjoyable conversation.
I forgot where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy
Screw
to be
Mark
here.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
That's where we were.
There we go.
But so the Downriver News Network, do you think that you'll kind of expand that, add other MCs that can go and kind of increase, because there's such a dense, so dense with businesses downriver.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I almost took like it's jumped right into the den of wolves in a sense. I jumped right in. I cannot not give credit to the Monroe County News Network. Right, it stems from that, and like I told you before, seeing the beautiful community out there with Monroe County. I grew up downriver. Born and raised downriver, and I saw, I'm a downriver guy, so I'm like, man, there's so much going on down here. Like, why isn't any of this being covered by any media channel? There's nothing down here that's, we have our Downriver and Friends, of course, but like, we know what that could be, right? So I'm like, they need somebody. They need a media outlet. Like, how cool would it be if I could just go to the library, or I go to the Historical Society, or I can go to Sportsman's and start covering this type of stuff. So yeah, I definitely can see it stretching out. Me personally, as a passion of mine, would be to get the youth involved, to get some of these kids that are seniors in high school or early in college, to say, hey, if you guys are interested in being a news journalist, an anchor, even a cameraman or woman, please feel free to reach out, and I would love to share my skills and my knowledge with you, because I'm not a gatekeeper, and let's expand. Let the future roll out, because that's what it's got to be, right? there's just so much to take. I mean, literally, just last week, I went from Allen Park to Wyandotte to Romulus to Flat Rock back to Allen Park all in one day. That's a drive.
Yeah.
You know, straight down 94 to Romulus, come back, go through Southfield to go to Lincoln Park, up Fort Street to come back to Wyandotte.
What you almost need is like a, you know, the calendar for scheduling, and then have it broken into quadrants or whatever. Like, I'm going to go to this side this day. So like, so when people schedule, so that you see basically, because you have it all linked to one calendar, so you can say like, okay, Taylor, this business and Taylor, you share that, the calendar for that area, you know?
Yeah.
And then you know that only availability is going to be on Tuesday, so that you know that you're sticking kind of in that area.
And that's kind of what I'm doing right now is I'm dedicating Mondays and Tuesdays to Downriver. And then I'm like working my full-time job with Monroe County News Network, you know. But Mondays and Tuesdays is giving me enough range where Monday is laid back day. Besides when 8 o'clock comes, I'm watching Monday Night Raw. Right. But, you know, so I got from the morning to the night, I'm doing whatever I can for these businesses, just covering stuff. And like I said, every month is something different. There's a new holiday. There's a new event happening, graduation, Easter, Mother's Day, Fish Fry Fridays right now we got going on. We'll be featuring Rock of Gibraltar this Friday for their Fish Fry at the VFW Hall. And even them, they were like, so gracious for me to come in. They were like, thank you so much. And I'm like, no problem. Like, I'm happy to be.
It's so great to go to so many places and feel so welcomed, isn't it?
Exactly. And I'm like, I'm so happy that you're appreciative because, you know, especially in our line of work, that sometimes it's hard to get across to have a client that's just so happy, you know. They expect almost so much of us to be video guys.
The platform thing is so important, you know, like creating and I've always viewed even Michigan Media House as a platform as well, like the same thing. Like, that's been my goal since the beginning, you know? And it kind of started with a similar place as you. It was like, I came from music and bands and played a lot of shows and stuff, and so right when I picked up the camera, my next thing was just like, here's an underserved community when it comes to media. Like, if I get a MC, which I got with my buddy Kevin, I was like, let's start interviewing bands. You know? And so we did that, you know, shoot some shots of them performing with one of their songs, put an interview over that, chop it up, and then I just started seeing like, oh, also this too, and this, you know, there's so many communities that need it. And I feel like I'm more of like a systems guy, kind of builder. I want to build it, like you're saying, and then hopefully bring in younger people. Because if you can make the system simple enough, you know, you could definitely train it, and then that creates, you know, even if it's just something that a kid does to learn it, like a apprenticeship, or, you know, like
it's an outreach, you know, because going back to the word network, because in there we can attack more of a base. Now I can say, hey, if I have 3 or 4 guys, hey, you two go to Wyandotte, we'll go to Romulus. Now we're covering 4 or 5 stories literally at the same time, rather than spending from, you know, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I'm in the car a lot of the time, you know, just trying to get to place to place to place. But given I'm at these places generally for 30 minutes to an hour each.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. You know, I try to really just get in and out. You know, I prep them the week before, let them know what's going on.
I think I was at like 2 to 2.5, and sometimes because I was just doing one shoot in an evening, I'd hang out and have a beer, or smoke, and hang out, just kind of BS with them afterwards, which are some of like my favorite ones. I just hang out till 10 p.m. or whatever, you know. But it was typically 2 hours, 2.5, and that was setting up the interview, doing the interview, and then shooting B-roll after, you know. I think which is a little bit, you know, what you're doing with doing the intros, I think, is like really clever, because you can knock them out a lot quicker.
I think one of the longest ones I did was at Victory Gym, but those guys were just so welcoming, and then we really talked about like health and fitness at the end, and they were just interested in what I did, and they were like, okay, now that the cameras are away, let's talk. You know,
most of the time that happens. And then you end up leaving, and that's usually what feels good. That's what makes it be like, oh, I'm glad that I went out and did that.
Right.
I feel like I now have a connection with this person.
Absolutely, it's not all just business. You know, again, Downriver News Network. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, the Downriver News Network. Please feel free, if you guys are in the Downriver community, to reach out. Our calendar month is booked for the rest of April and May. Actually, we're now going into June and July. So if you guys have any stories, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to serve you. You know, I'm just so thankful to be able to provide an honest service for my community.
Yeah. Well, I love what you're doing, and also what you said too, any young people that want to get involved and do that. I think the more your team grows, the more service you can do, and what you're doing is great. And again, I really appreciate you coming out here, man. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We'll do it again.
Yes.